How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today, I want to talk to you about the overall crypto market, why we're looking pretty bullish right now. I would say really bullish. I actually bought a significant amount of crypto over the last few days, and I'm taking kind of big bets. I bought a couple. I'll tell you about those a little bit further into the video. I also want to talk to you about how to diversify your wealth a little bit. And also, I want to really hit and talk a long time about Terra and why it's not exactly what you think it is. It's actually probably better. It's something that I really want to talk about after a new interview that Do Kwon put out. So I'm going to play that for you and talk about what Terra is and explain it a little bit further because I think a lot of people don't realize what they're trying to be. So if you guys don't mind hitting the like button and subscribe button, I really appreciate that. It helps out the channel a lot. I will put timestamps underneath the video as well. Overall, crypto is looking pretty good. We're pretty much sideways for the day, but you can see some cryptos are doing really well. Ethereum's up over 3,400 again. What's really ripping is Solana at $133. This is one of the assets I put the most money into on the last dip. Also, Terra is doing well. It's right around the all-time high. Now, if you haven't noticed this, I think a lot of people probably have, but crypto can be extremely volatile. And there were a ton of people that got caught with their pants down and didn't realize that the market was going to continue dipping. We saw Bitcoin fall from 69,000 down to 34,000. And a lot of altcoins got shaved 80% off the top. A lot of cryptos fell 80, 90%. Now, if you didn't have money on the sidelines or have some kind of other asset that you could pull from, you had a hard time buying that dip. Now, inflation's really high, so a lot of people don't really like to have cash, which I understand, but that's why I want to talk to you about Masterworks. So if you wanted your portfolio to not be tied so much to the stock market or the crypto market, you could invest in art and you can invest with a few dollars. So they give you fractional ownership of different paintings. The cool thing about this is a lot of wealthy individuals that hold this different kind of art, they don't sell when the market's down because they don't need to. They just hold on. And they've actually outperformed the S&P 500. You can see 15.8% net annualized track record, 350,000 users. There's a link to this underneath the video. And you can even get paintings like Banksy or George Condo. You guys can check out the link underneath the video to start investing here today. Now, the crypto market is looking pretty good. Like I said, neutral on the fear and greed index. We were just at greed a few days ago, and we're back in the $46,000 range. What's interesting now is I thought we were going to hold up at this 45.4 mark. We had been rejected by it several times. We had seen it be some support back here. Then we were rejected several times. So I thought this was going to hold. We actually broke through and went to about 44.2, which you can see back here was resistance. And then we actually flipped support over here and we saw more support here. So obviously this is bullish, the previous resistance turning into support. And I think we're looking really bullish for the weekend, especially with Luna continuing to buy more and more Bitcoin. Looks like we are in for a wild couple of weeks. Now, I want to talk about what Terra actually is because I think a lot of people don't necessarily know. The founder's goal was to fulfill what Bitcoin originally set out to be, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. To achieve that, they deployed a number of stablecoins, and they're pegged to different assets like commodities and fiat currencies. Now, UST is the most well-known of these stablecoins, and you might be asking, why do we need some kind of algorithmic stablecoin, something that's not backed by actual US dollars? Because people like that idea. They like these stablecoins to be backed up by US dollars. That's kind of what we're used to, at least when we think about like the gold standard. We like knowing that if we want to get rid of this, we want something in return that we trust. And a lot of people trust the US dollar. Now, some people don't trust the US dollar, which we'll talk about here in a second. But the reason that they are going after an algorithmic stablecoin as opposed to just being another USDC, USDT, is because these entities are highly centralized. You can see that because Circle has frozen money before, USDT has been frozen before. And the fact is that kind of goes against what people want in crypto. We want to hold our own assets. We don't want other entities or intermediaries to control our money and our wealth. So that's where this algorithmic stablecoin comes in. How it works is basically you can trade $1 of Luna for 1 UST or 1 UST for $1 of Luna. So if UST goes over $1, you can transfer $1 of Luna to get this 1 UST. thereby increasing the supply of USD, driving the price down, and also driving the price of Luna up because there is going to be less and less Luna out there. So what this does is it brings USD back down to $1. Now, what if USD is below $1? Well, you can go and trade your 98 cents or your UST that's worth 98 cents and transfer it to $1 of Luna, thereby decreasing the supply of USD, making the price go up, increasing the supply of Luna. Now, why has Luna done so well? Because a lot of people have taken Luna and burned it for UST. And a lot of people are using UST, like on Anchor. Now, the interesting thing about what they're trying to do is, with this, right, you have an algorithmic stablecoin. The risk, though, comes in this kind of bank run or death spiral. Basically, there's a broad bear market sell-off. Luna's price falls. It causes UST holders to worry about a peg break risk. They just want to get out, which causes more Luna to be minted, which causes the price to fall, causes more people to get scared about UST. So that's what they're trying to protect against. Now, that's why they've been increasing their reserves in Bitcoin. This is going to act as kind of a release valve. Let's say the peg falls down to 97 cents. 97 cents is what 1 UST is worth. Well, you can go and trade 1 UST that's worth 97 cents for 98 cents of Bitcoin. Then the treasury here will hold the UST and then give you out the Bitcoin, thereby giving you basically 1% in Bitcoin right away. Now, this causes this arbitrage opportunity for people to get Bitcoin at a discount, which is fantastic for anyone that wants to buy Bitcoin. A lot of people will do that. And that continues until UST is back at its dollar. This causes there to be a lot less minting of Luna and hopefully will cause less pressure on Luna in that kind of death spiral scenario. The other thing is, we know that inflation continues to go up. I mean, we're at 8, 9, 10% inflation, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of people like the idea of backing a stable coin with something that's appreciating in value instead of backing it with something that we know is going down in value. Now, some people have thrown out different scenarios for what happens when Bitcoin goes in 10x's, because then it will be actually worth more than UST, their reserves of, let's say they get $3 billion worth of Bitcoin. Actually, they want $10 billion. So $10 billion worth of Bitcoin, and then it goes and 10x's. What if Terra is still at a $50 billion market cap? Now, there are different things they could do. They could just hold on to it to make it even more collateralized, or some people have talked about some kind of Bitcoin dividend. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? Now, I want to play this interview. This just came, and Do Kwon talked about how this is going to be a layer 2 solution for Bitcoin.
There's a lot that has been said comparing Bitcoin to Ethereum and then thinking about what's going to be more valuable long term. And then the idea is that Ethereum is more useful. There's more things that you can do with it. So eventually it's going to flip Bitcoin. So a lot of people think this way. But I think precisely what gives Bitcoin its value is the fact that it's calcified and it's very slow to change to innovation, right? Similar to how, but like if you look at Ethereum, right, it changes less quickly than some of the other smart contract platforms, but it still changes all the time, right? And it's newer. It doesn't really have the same founding myth. It doesn't have, the same Lindy effect that Bitcoin does. So it's significantly a less credibly neutral asset, right? So I think from that perspective, there's a large and huge Bitcoin community that respects that value system, understands, the credible neutralness of the Bitcoin as an asset class. But what has been lacking is sort of a credible layer 2, if you think about it, because Bitcoin is still very difficult to use. Still very difficult to weave into smart contracts. And in Terra, it gets that. Not only does Bitcoin become a reserve currency for Terra USD, right? But it also gets a layer 2 on which it can be bridged and used across a multitude of different applications spanning from, let's say, other DAOs that are building on Terra to NFTs to DeFi. And I think the possibilities of that are quite interesting. Because now Bitcoin only needs to be really good at being one thing, being an asset. And in terms of all the expressivity, the transaction capabilities, the throughput, all those things can happen on Terra.
Now, I think that's something that a lot of us didn't realize they were doing. They were becoming a layer 2 for Bitcoin by backing with Bitcoin. A layer 2 helps a layer 1 to scale up its operations by moving many transactions to an alternate network to reduce congestion. Think about some of the biggest problems that people have with Bitcoin. A lot of people say, oh, it was supposed to be used for transactions. Now it's too slow, too expensive, too clunky. Of course, you can use Lightning Network, but it actually works similar to Bitcoin in that it's this decentralized stablecoin for the Bitcoin network. That's really interesting. If you don't want to trade an actual Bitcoin, but you want a stablecoin, well, this is probably one of the most trusted stablecoins out there because it's not controlled by a single entity. Like I said, I've been buying a few cryptocurrencies a little bit heavier because I feel very bullish. Now, I added a lot a few weeks ago, or actually a month or two ago when we were down pretty significantly, but I continue to dollar cost average, and the cryptos that I'm buying, and I actually bought more than my normal dollar cost average amount because I think we are looking so bullish. I'm buying Bitcoin, Solana, and Terra. You might say that's crazy. Solana's gone on a crazy run. Terra is at all-time highs. Bitcoin isn't going to move as much as some of these other cryptos. That's what you're saying. I'm saying this is the hardest asset in the world. It's going to be extremely scarce. They have 2 million Bitcoin to be mined over the next 120 years. And this is just math, number go up technology. I need to have more of it. I don't care if it's a 20x and something else 25x's. Bitcoin is one of the best risk to reward ratios in all of crypto and all of the world right now. Solana is already Ethereum 2.0, and it's extremely cheap, extremely quick compared to a lot of these other networks. Terra, like I said, has massive upside potential. The algorithm, how it works between UST and Terra and Luna, causes the price to go up constantly. And I think as more people understand what UST is and some of the pros of it, and as they continue to back more and more with Bitcoin, people will use UST more and more, especially Bitcoin bugs. People that love Bitcoin or Bitcoin maxis, if they want a stable coin to do whatever transaction, it's going to make the most sense to use UST. They're going to use that. They're not going to use Tether or USDC. They're going to use UST, which I think will be another huge selling point, another reason that people will continue to use UST and continue to push up the price of Terra. Now, that's why I'm buying these three. I've also bought a few others recently. I've talked about them, but those are the three that I'm making big bets on right now, and I'm adding to more aggressively than a lot of the other cryptocurrencies. But let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. Did you already know that Luna was a layer 2 for Bitcoin and that's what they're trying to do? Let me know in the comment section underneath the video. Again, check out the link to Masterworks. I hope you guys all have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.